Ip Man or IP Man or Yip Man. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. I think it's Ip. So this is a film from 2008 starring Donnie Yen, who I'm very familiar with. I love his work, but the Ip Man stuff is something I never really got into before. I just never had the drive to watch it or get involved in it. I thought, let's give it a shot. I like this guy. I like this world. I want to get more into martial arts films, and I was really blown away by this movie. First off, I'm gonna say something really dumb, and that is that I didn't know that this was a real guy. I didn't know that the Ip Man, that this person existed, and that he was a famed martial artist throughout history, and that he trained Bruce Lee. I wasn't aware of any of that when I went into this, so seeing it at the end of the film, I was like, what? This is real shit? Like this, I'm sure this was a little more, like cinematic, but this guy existed. He did these things. That's amazing because it's pretty believable that this would be something that happened. It's kind of weird and very awkward at times, but I'm like, yeah, this makes sense if this was the world at the time. I mean, I had no expectations going into this. I'm like, a martial arts film with Donnie Yen. Let's go. Let's get it. It opens up in this beautiful idea that Fo Shan is just a kung fu town. People have, a bunch of dojos and like training studios and all that stuff where you can just practice martial arts from the best. And this guy, Ip, he's just the most popular and the most famous guy across the entire town, and everybody wants to fight him and train with him. He's just so good that it's all just flawless. He can just show up and just kick anybody's ass. He doesn't have to work hard for it. And I think that's really cool because that's a very believable character, and he's young too. This guy, he looks young, and the fact that he's trained that much to do it is pretty cool. And Donnie Yen, I mean, I like this guy. I've enjoyed a lot of his work. He's great. He knocks this role out of the park. He just committed to it so much. I think just the parts of it I really liked are just like his non-bullshitting smiles, just the way he's like having a good time in certain situations. He's like, okay, they want to do this thing, well, I'll be involved in that thing and that kind of stuff. And just the way when he actually starts fighting, it's just so stiff. Like he's so choreographed and well trained that it isn't this big sweeping motion for him. It's just like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm just standing there moving my arms. I don't have to exude any external force for this. I just know how to win. And it looks really cool. It's like the first 30 minutes of this movie are just like, hey, I'm fighting this guy who's opening up a dojo. I beat him. We don't want to tell anybody. And it's like, my buddy here is going to maybe open up like a cotton factory so we can get some money coming to this town. Some outsiders come in, they want to fight me. A beautiful fight scene where he's fighting Jin and all these other outsiders who are coming in just, prove their worth to the town of Fo Shan, and the Ip Man just kind of takes them down. But then something I wasn't expecting is about, like I said, 30 minutes in, it is a hard shift from this fantastical idea of this perfect martial artist just kicking the ass out of everyone who comes near him to we're in the belly of World War II. Japan has invaded China. Like, our entire town is destroyed. Everybody is just like poor and starving. Even the Ip Man and his family, they have to go kind of like lose their big house, struggle to survive, do random work for rice, and just like see him struggling to work and maintain his life. And I'm just like, where did this come from? And again, I went into this not knowing this guy was a real guy. So I'm like, this is a really weird choice, but I'm going to follow it. And it pays off cool. So the other big premise of this is like there's this, Japanese general who like wants to like have these Chinese guys fight against his Japanese kung fu guys, and he'll give them rice if they can beat any of his guys. And it just kind of becomes like, overthrowing the power of that thing. And so as soon as like Ip comes in to do this kind of stuff, after seeing that a couple of the people he wants to do in his past life are there and they get killed for certain things, and you just see what this guy's doing, it's like, whoa. This is badass. And I mean, it goes without saying that the fighting in a show like this is just incredible, but I think it's brilliant. And I'm not like a choreographer. I don't know like all the details for it stuff, but I just like how effortless it looks for the Ip Man here. He just comes in, he does his stuff, and he just leaves. Like, it's not this extraneous thing. And I think that's really cool. And I like that everyone's kind of like got their distinct style when they fight. It's just very cool to see that kind of stuff. And, when he's taken on, like, 10 of the Japanese soldiers at once, I think it's really cool. And he's just so good at, like, the close quarters combat, just, like, the 6-inch punch, pretty much, just, like, right up in there, and, like, the fast drives on those. It's amazing. It looks really cool. And I mean, it just looks fantastic. It's so nice to see that stuff. It's just really fascinating to see that world. And again, you go into something like this for the, martial arts. You go in to see the kung fu, and it's there in spades. Every single fight scene is unique and well choreographed, and it looks brilliant, and it's this really interesting piece. It's just great, and it looks hard too. It's not like just like these sweeping epics. Like, you're hearing the sounds of getting hit and the punching and just the blood that forms. Just like after like one punch, when you get knocked in the face and your teeth are bloody and your nose is dripping, you feel the weight of those punches, and I think that's a really, really cool thing to see. But also, there's a really interesting story in here. I wasn't expecting it to be this World War II thing where, Japan comes in and ruins everything for these people. And then you see this guy throughout the entirety of the movie and the Ip Man just struggling to balance the two sides. Does he stay with his wife and his son and have the normal family life? And what does he do to protect the people who have pretty much given him everything? And when he defends the honor of the town at the beginning of the movie and everyone's there for it, how can he do that again later after the Japanese have invaded? It's really intense, and it's really, really good. And I wasn't expecting that level of commitment to both sides of it. And I've read some reviews that kind of go against that this was an emotionally investing film. But I'm like, what are you watching? The guy watched one of his closest friends, this Master Liu, just get beaten in front of him. And you see this other kid he knows just literally gets shot down by the Japanese general just because he did something different. He's trying to fight him. You're just how is that not gripping? And when his wife just you have to do this thing. You have to go and help him. That's awesome. It's really powerful stuff too, and it's just so cool to see that side of things. And I think my favorite character in all of this was the officer Lee. His story was really fun, just going I'm trying to survive here. I'm not a big martial arts guy. He makes a big spectacle of being for the firepower and the guns. And then when he's coming in and you see this, he's the interpreter for the Japanese. He's trying to protect his people while still keeping his own life. And I love, one of my favorite scenes in this movie is just when Ip is you sold out. It's just why are you doing this? You're not even helping your people. He's I'm trying to survive the same as you. If this is what I'm doing to survive, that's what I'm doing. And I'm trying to tell you, don't do this fight. I loved the Officer Lee. I think he was such a fun and interesting character that just added something extra to this. I just enjoyed his performance so much. It was just really, really cool to see what he could do. And it's just something about that just works so well, and just it's this really interesting dynamic between it all. I enjoyed it a lot. So I think he was my favorite character, just being trying to protect his people, but still realizing that I'm in this position where I'm going to get hurt no matter what I do. How do I protect the Ip Man and everybody in this village pretty much? I don't know how to do that without getting myself or everyone else hurt. A really cool character that worked really well. It was just so cool to see that. And I think the final fight in this film, it could have been this really intense thing. You got the entire town watching as the Ip Man is fighting. I think it's General Mora or something like that. You could be we've been waiting for this. This is the climax of our film. It is such an easy fight. He takes this general down pretty easily in this beautiful spectacle of stuff, and I think that's a really cool thing. And just the narration after that, it's he never bowed down to the Japanese army. He had to go into hiding into Hong Kong, but he never gave up. He just kept fighting through all that stuff. I'm that's really cool. This guy sounds really awesome. I'm super glad he got a bunch of movies, because there's 4 in the Donnie Yen stuff, and there's a whole spectacle of them elsewhere. Just a bunch of these movies being made of this guy. It's awesome because the fight scenes are so good and gripping. You feel the brutality, yet the pageantry to martial arts in here too. It looks beautiful, but it packs a punch. The sound effects are fantastic. Whoever did the sound mixing for this, just the weight of everything hitting all the bags and just the way everything worked was really cool. And Donnie Yen, can't sing the praises of this guy enough. He's just an incredible performer who knows his range and knows how to make stuff work within that range, and this performance, probably some of the best stuff he's ever delivered. I don't know why people don't like this movie, because it's just really strong, really interesting, and does so much for this character and this world, makes the Ip Man a legacy and shows you the intensity of this guy. And I know just like the big dramatic change from going from just like we're fighting guys who want to see how good our town is to we're starving, I'm trying to feed my son while my wife is sick, I have to work in the coal mines to figure everything out. It's a huge shift, and it works so well for the movie, and you see why this guy was so revered and so respected. And this film just was really intense. I really recommend checking it out because it's surprising, it's engaging, it is so cool and so fun. There's not much else like it. There really isn't. It's just that interesting, that cool. And Ip Man or IP Man or Yip Man, whatever it is called, this guy's a badass. So you should check out the series of films. I'm definitely going to be coming back to talk about the next 3 at some point. Probably not for a bit, but you can damn well be sure that we're not going to be done with the Ip Man on this channel. And thank you guys so much for watching this rendition of Dynamic Tales. I love it. If you have any recommendations for films you'd like to see me talk about on here, please leave them in the comments below. As always, you guys can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.